All right, we can go ahead and get started here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone that's on this webinar. And let me say, on behalf of HP, welcome to the next installment of our Publishing 2020 Vision webinar series. So very quickly, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Rick Bravo, and I'm part of the global strategy business development team from the HP PageWide Industrial Business. I've been with HP for a little over 7 years now. Had a few different roles inside of our graphics group, including strategy, which has allowed me to see a wide range of our different businesses. And most recently, my role has been part of the PWI business, covering business development in Latin America and Asia, as well as publishing segment management globally. And I'm just absolutely fascinated by the developments in publishing this past year. Certainly COVID has played a big role and impact, and I'm looking forward to our session today. So without further ado, you're probably wondering and asking the question first, why HP and why the Publishing 2020 Vision series? So let me answer that first by saying HP has an entrepreneurial spirit at its core. Our company vision is to create technology that makes life better for everyone, everywhere, every person, every organization around the globe. This motivates us. It inspires us to do what we do, to make what we make, and to invent and reinvent. We believe that the original inspiration the founders had remains true in this webinar series, and that is very much in line with the company mission, which is to reinvent and adapt a forward-thinking philosophy. So we're continuing our webinar series over the coming months to explore and discuss wide-ranging topics and trends and dynamics that are really driving change and transformation within the publishing industry. And undoubtedly, the impact of the past year of COVID is going to persist, we believe, for a foreseeable future. And so we are bringing together some of the industry's most informed voices to look at what the future holds. And obviously, the driving goal behind the series is to explore the positive changes and developments that can drive the publishing industry in 2020 and beyond. So to give you a little insight into how HP and our role within the publishing industry, we've been a leader in digital print for the past 30 years. And for the past 12 most recent years, we've been providing digital print on demand services with our HP Indigo and PageWide Industrial presses. Since 2008, we have printed over 250 billion A4 book pages, which makes us the #1 player in inkjet book production. And that's done through across a global network of print service providers using HP technology, doing the printing for many of the top 20 global publishers, of which you'll hear a few of them today. This is done through over 50 customers offering services in over 18 countries worldwide, and we expect those numbers to increase over the coming years. In short, we're very active in the industry with our digital print technology, but also moving beyond that, we're starting to focus not just on hardware, but looking at delivering solutions end to end that create incremental value and create new opportunities for our customers. And so with that, we introduced HP Piazza, which is essentially bridges the world of book publishing and digital printing to offer a greener publishing supply chain. We launched this at the London Book Fair 2 years ago, which is a cloud-based system that can be integrated into a publisher's existing systems. It allows publishers to print and deliver their content to order, delivering on the promise of no overstock, reducing warehousing, less complicated logistics, and just more efficiency. This is hosted in the cloud, so publishers can have instant access to their content at any point in time, and then order a title when it is needed. It can be pushed out to automated production using HP SiteFlow, and then print on demand in market, and then ship directly to customers around the world. So that is just a quick overview of our involvement in the industry, and we're very, very excited to be involved in the series that is continuing now. And so before I hand it over to our moderator today, I just wanted to give you a quick couple of housekeeping notes. We'll be running for the next 55 minutes until the top of the hour, and at that time, that time will include time for questions, which we will have at the end. The questions will be moderated by the HP team. So if you have questions, please use the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Indicate if there's a specific panelist you prefer to answer. Feel free to load them in as we go, as they come to mind throughout the webinar. And on that note, I would like to introduce you to our moderator today, Marco Eichenboom. Marco has been Vice President of Marketing and Sales Graphic Papers at Sappi Paper Europe since 2008. His professional career started in 1992 with K&P Fine Paper in the Netherlands, and after several commercial positions in Maastricht and Paris, he was appointed Managing Corporate Planning when K&P Lachem was acquired by Sappi in 1997. Following this corporate strategy position, Marco took on the role as Managing Director of Sappi Benelux and left in 2002 to Sappi's head office in Johannesburg to become Marketing Director. Marco came back to Brussels as Director of Marketing Sales in 2005, and after the acquisition and integration of MReal Graphics, he assumed the global marketing and sales responsibility for the graphics business of Sappi Europe. And so allow me to introduce to you Marco. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you very much for giving this opportunity to share with a great panel the insights into the publishing markets, and particularly what's happening to our industry, our joint industry, after the COVID pandemic. I'm pretty sure that we will hear a lot of insights, and thanks once again for creating this opportunity as HP. I would like to go over to as a first introduction to Bastian Czerwonka, and maybe Bastian, you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the impact COVID had on you, your company, and the way you operate.
Thank you very much, Marco. Really look forward to introducing myself and giving you some insights to the company here. So, hello everybody, I'm Bastian Czerwonka and I'm with the Bertelsmann Corporation since 2009. My team is based all over Europe and we are taking care of all international sales activities for the German-based factories of the Bertelsmann Printing Group. Having that said, we serve a wide field of printed goods such as catalogs, flyers, magazines, as well as books and mailings. And in particular in the book market, we serve the domestic market in Germany, as well as international markets and international publishers based in Europe, including the UK and further field in the US. You were asking on the impact of COVID-19, and I mean, yes. On a general level, we've seen that, well, things have dramatically changed in 2020. We have all had the situation of encountering the situation to work way more from home than we ever did before. Traveling and meeting customers was way more challenging than we ever experienced in the past. So having that said, we have definitely seen a change from having physical meetings at the publishers, but moreover now digital meetings and conference calls. So having that said, we've definitely seen that this has changed due to the situation. Thankfully, we were able to keep the production running throughout the whole year without any obstacles. So we were quite pleased to see that our hygiene concept at all the factories worked out. From a publisher perspective and talking about our customers, we have seen that there was a kind of like cautious approach to reduce their stock levels and to adjust their behavior on order levels, which was mainly driven from our perspective by retail bookshops being forced to close, a lack of footfall at stations and as well as at airports. On the other hand, as an upside, the online purchase of books, for example, via Amazon has grown significantly. And yeah, this is something that we have definitely seen, that the volumes that we ship over have shifted in a slightly different way than it was done in the past. So right. That's a brief overview on the situation of COVID, but I guess we come to details a bit later, and I'm curious to hear what all the others say now.
We certainly come back, Bastian, but thank you already for this introduction and a lead into to the changes that are looming. Let me introduce Emanuela Bandecchi. After your introduction, Emanuele, maybe you can also share a bit of light on where things have been changing over the last 6 to 9 months, and whether you consider these changes for good. Will those be structural changes, or can we change back again?
Thank you, Marco. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Emanuele Bandecchi, and I'm a sales and marketing director at Rotorito, which is a family-owned company based in Italy with 9 production plants, which are mainly based in the Milan area, and a printing company that has always been specialized in book printing, with a special focus on the educational and illustrated books. What can we say about 2020? I think we all want to forget this year for many reasons. It's true that not everything went so bad this year beside the crisis we had to face. But it's true that there are a few changing in the market structure and the demand. Especially we have seen that for sure the demand is decreasing in terms of number of copies per job to be printed. The turnaround time has been reducing a lot during the last few months, and I think all these aspects are related to of course, to the increase of online selling, talking about books, and also a little bit of incertitude with regards to what can be sold or not sold. So I think that things are moving quite quickly. I don't have, unfortunately, the answer about if things are going to get back to or not. But what we can say is that probably the best aspect related to what we have done this year is the fact that a lot of jobs that were moved to Asian countries are now coming back to Europe. So I can say Rotorito has a quite large customer base throughout Europe, and we can say that the trend is quite general. So this is quite an interesting thing for us.
Very good, very good. Well, thanks, Emanuele. And with that, let me go over to the other side of the world. That's the joy of meeting virtually, and introduce Alderano Fileni. And maybe after you introduce yourself, Alderano, you could say a little bit, because you're from a place that is also hard hit by the pandemic. What in your mind are the factors that are that influence the buying pattern for books and book publishers right now in comparison to before the pandemic?
So thank you, Mark, and also I would like to thank you all the HP team to give us this opportunity to share our experiences and out meet very good professionals in this field. So first of all, I'm Alderano Fileni. I work for Print Laser, Grupo Print Laser, for more than 20 years. And today I'm the CEO and also board member of the group. So as you said, I'm in the other side of the globe. We are located in Brazil, in the São Paulo area. And is that true? The sad part of this pandemic, and I'd like to start talking about that. Brazil is the third most country affected due to the pandemic. And today is more than 60 million people affected and lots of losses, unfortunately. And we are scared. We are scared in our country, for sure. Specifically speaking, in the print business, we have seen a very deep and a very high drop in the last 9 months, I would say. To be honest, in the last quarter, the quarter that we are now, we are seeing the volumes coming back, fortunately. More specific in the book business. Just to let you guys know, Print Laser is a company that works and provides services in the transactional business up to the publishing. So we have a very complex variety of services today, and that sometimes is good because you can have a lot of applications, a lot of segments, and but it's also very complex in a business, the print business, that we are seeing in general decreasing. Transactional is almost 20% less today, the volumes of printing, if you compare to the beginning before the pandemic. And to be more specific in the business that we are interested in this webinar is the publishing. I would say that in the peak of the pandemic between April and May, we achieved 50% less in sales. It's very difficult. We did a lot of procedures here in the factory. That we have 2 facilities in São Paulo, and we reduce the manpower. We took a lot of dramatic actions to keep going and to keep working and serving the customers that's still giving us orders. And nowadays, as I said, we are seeing again increasing. We serve mainly the local business, the local market, Brazil local market, the domestic one. But this year it was something unique. We export to the South America a very good numbers of units per book units. But the main reason was the exchange rate. The exchange rate here in Brazil, the Brazilian currency as a devalue against dollar. Countries, specific publishers, they buy globally. So we became, is not something that we do normally, but this year was one of the upsides that I'm seeing is to export in South America. So that is a big picture of what is going on down here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alderano. And maybe when I'm going back to Bastian right now, just tell us a little bit. Emanuele was talking about the geography and orders coming back from China. Can you tell us a little bit about the geography you're serving, the kind of books you're publishing, and maybe your interaction with local publishers that has now changed due to the current situation?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are focused on black and white business as well as on color books. Talking about color books, it's mainly cookbooks, but also other illustrated books that we produce in our plant in Gütersloh at Mo Media.
Yeah.
Black and white business is mainly taking part in our plant in Pößneck by GGP. Having that said, we serve almost a big portion of publishers in Germany, but also a lot of international publishers. Talking about international publishers, it does take place particularly, and this is a very attractive and still very important market for us, is the UK. But in addition to that, we've also produced the Obama book this year for the United States. So having that said, it's really quite international on that level.
Yeah, and do you see changes? Is there more of a return of orders that previously were moving back to China? And are you collaborating more with European or maybe even German smaller publishers than you did before?
I totally agree to Emanuele, who just highlighted the fact that business becomes a bit more local. Having that said, what we've also seen, and that's something I highlighted in my introduction, is that the first runs, the initial quantity, this has definitely decreased. This is a trend that we have seen in the last couple of years, but this was enforced in the last couple of months dramatically by COVID-19. So what we can see is that it comes to the fact that smaller first runs are produced, and we have to show that we are a bit more flexible when it comes to reprints and to be quicker there. So this is a main challenge for us as a printer in the current situation. Yes.
Yeah, can imagine. Emanuele, just building on that shift of patterns that we're seeing. There's also been a lot of talks about the shift from the physical book to a digital book, but it has been almost contradicted by the enormous surge in e-commerce and the fact that printed books have been so much ordered by e-commerce, which almost was a bigger trend than just the digitization of a book or the making it an audio version. Do you see that the same? Are you afraid of digitalization, or are you saying, well, e-commerce is driving the sales of the physical book even further?
Well, actually, I'm of course scared a little bit about digitalization, but not actually for what concerns book. Maybe for other products that we actually print, like magazines, like retail flyers, catalogs as well.
Yeah.
Of course, the digitalization of the data has brought to a reduction in printing, and this is pretty clear for everyone. For what concerns book, I think that the product has shifted to something that was just something to inform and communicate. Today it is something different. It is an object that you can give to, for example, a child, if you want to interrupt his interaction with other digital technologies, for example, or it can be a gift, it can be personalized that you want to give to someone of your friends. And probably today we see that the book is much more high-end product, so it needs to be personalized. It has to be, I would say, also with some ennoblement, like hot foil stamping or other things on the cover. And the contents that are in books are much higher than before. So I think that if I have to say in the future, I think that probably not all the books will be printed anymore, but there will be always a book market segment that would be there.
And Emanuele, you're not afraid of you described well how digitalization can be countered because of the physical aspects of a book and the enhancement you could do to the book, to a book copy. You're not afraid as well. Well, let me phrase it differently. Are you convinced that in Europe the technology and the enhancement we can make to a book outperform? And it's a question from one of our panelists, can outperform the low-cost printing jobs done by the Asian competitors. It was a very interesting remark you made that orders are coming back from Asia. There must be a reason, because Asia is remaining very low cost. So there must be something that the European publishing industry is doing so well that we attract businesses back.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true, and of course, there's no discussion about the fact that Asian countries are cheaper than Europe. But it's also true that today I think that publishers are really looking at the total cost of ownership of a product, and not simply the production costs. So I think that as soon as the turnaround time and the life cycle of a book is getting much faster, I think that publishers are looking more at keeping stocks down, so reducing the copies to be printed, but having the stock replenished in real time. And I think this is not easily doable by the Asian printers. So I think this is the main advantage, the fact that the business model is changing a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's clear. That's a very good description. Alderano, would like to jump over to Latin America for a moment, and the role e-commerce is playing in your business. I can imagine, and I've been a couple of times to your beautiful country. Sao Paulo is very different from other more remote areas in Brazil. Not everybody will probably have immediate access to internet, or for that matter, e-commerce. Is that a drawback on your business, or do you see the shift of bricks and mortar magazines, book magazines, towards e-commerce slightly slower than in other parts of the world?
No, Marco, thank you for the beautiful country, first of all.
It is.
But I would say to you that first, I think that is important to let you know, guys, that Grupo Print Laser today, we are very focused in school books. Our main business is school books, is educational books. In terms of educational books, again, what we are seeing is reducing. We have a very decrease in the volumes, because here in Brazil, the major buyer of school books is the government. It's almost 75% in the total. Just for you guys to have in mind, we have today 220 million books per year that the Brazilian market produce and delivery, and almost 80% is offered to the government. The government buy it. So because the pandemic, all the school time frame, all the school was changed. They changed the calendar and moved the calendar to the next year. So it's a mess. So the government just quit to buy the books, or this majority. So that was the very good drop that we have, but we have a very good replacement, because the private schools and also the publishers that offer content to the private schools start to buy more, because we have a migration. People that was having their students in the public schools are migrating to the private, because private is having classes. So it's a little bit changed. So regarding to the school books, and we are seeing a very good moment, and we are not seeing, going back to your question, we are not seeing any kind of problem, at least for the next year. In the short term, we are not seeing problem in digitalization in school books. It happens, but it's more complementary. It's not replacing school books, and we are focused on that.
Okay,
but,
and that means that you more or less, and it's something that comes out of the panel chat now as well. It's something that is more blending different ways of learning, digital with print. So it's a hybrid form they're trying to find, which you might only welcome, because it sustains the position of print, be it with other media.
Exactly. It's exactly what we are seeing here, especially in the school business books. We're seeing a lot of, for sure, I think that here in the entire globe, we are seeing a complementary solutions to help students to get more content and to review content, but not replacing at all. We are not seeing digital replacing at all in school books, and we are focused on that. But your question is very good because we are seeing a HIP exactly in the trade books, in the all the trade books and the religious books that is very here in Brazil is very popular, and those kind of books are migrating very fast to online. But online do not mean digital books, electronic books. It means buying online through the lots of marketplace that we have here, such as Amazon and others. We have some other. And we are looking at this business right now. It's quite new for us. It's something that I'll talk a little bit later in our conversation. It's something that our trends that we are seeing and the movements that we are doing right now here.
Fantastic. So the digitalization is also stimulating part of your business. It's not necessarily all seen as a big threat. That's good to hear, Alderano. Bastiaan, what other trends are you seeing in the publishing worlds? Is there a difference in format, finishing, paper grades? Are there any trends you could describe?
I think from a format size, we haven't seen that many changes this year. There seems to be quite a stable understanding. What we do see is that there is definitely a trend to become plastic free, to have this environmental trend there. So we have a lot of recycled paper anyway, but in addition to that, it's also about becoming way more greener, right? So we have now decided that our black and white business in Persnec will be 100% climate neutral next year. So all these decisions are also of importance due to the fact that customers are asking for that. And in the publishing world, we see also the trend to become way more plastic free. So this is definitely a trend that we experience.
Okay, well, it is something that's coming through in the chat this afternoon. The way publishers are dealing with the environmental aware consumers, there is a big request to become more sustainable and to become more environmentally responsible. Do you see, is that part of the trend as well, that consumers would like to have regional production, and that therefore the trend back from Asia into Europe is seeing an acceleration? Do you think so?
Well, becoming local is always a combination. It's the question of lead times, it's the question of sustainability, but it's also a question of prices.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's always a combination of all these three aspects here. From my perspective, especially when it comes to lower runs, lower quantities, especially when it comes to digital printing on the HP presses, for example, then business will be very local. Having that said, when we are talking about initial quantities of 500 books, for example, this will always be done locally. This won't be done in Sheetfed. This will most likely not be done in web offset, but this will be done on the digital presses. So having that said, this is a trend that we see, and at a certain point in time, this will be a general trend there. So having that said, I guess that's also a task for us as printers to reflect on opportunities to serve that need in the market.
Absolutely. Bastiaan, you said right at the beginning when you described the business, the Bertelsmann business, that you have a rather big business in the UK as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
How is Brexit and the Brexit negotiations or the lack thereof impacting your business?
So here we go with the B word.
Yeah, the B word. Yeah, but it's something which I knew would come at one stage. Which
is perfectly fine. I mean, we've had these discussions, intensive discussions with our customers for more than a year now. I mean, this scenario has always been discussed. We've already had a situation where we had already the Brexit coming up. Now it's finally the case at the beginning of the new year. So having that said, what we've done in the last couple of months is that we had very intensive discussions, not only on the customer side, but even more with our logistic partners to prepare ourselves. So the good part of it is printing goods. There are no customs that need to be paid on printed goods. So having that said, there is still the customs clearing process that we all have to do at the border. But this is something that we have now set up with logistic partners, and we can guarantee quite a smooth process there, as there are also other third countries that we serve, like Switzerland. So having that said, I guess at the beginning of January, yes, it might be the case the truck takes some hours more, perhaps a day longer than expected or normally done at the moment. But let's be honest, the UK, and especially the UK market in the publishing industry as well, has always relied on European suppliers there as well. And I'm 100% sure that we are able to stabilize this relationship over the upcoming couple of months and years as well. So yes, this is a further thing that we need to focus on, but this is not a deal breaker for business in the UK, not at all.
I'm very happy to hear, Bastiaan, and actually very much hope that you're right. Emanuele, you were talking previously about the cost of ownership, and I would like to focus a little bit more on the cost of your raw materials. There's one question coming through in the chat box on recycled content, which would be the link between cost, environment, but also the lockdowns, which might have, and you know probably better, which might have influenced the prices of recycled paper. I don't know whether you use it, but is there any relationship between the lockdowns, the availability of recycled paper, the pressure from the environmental side to use more recycled paper? What's your view on that?
Of course, there is. It is needless to say that the lockdown has changed a little bit the scenario, and the trends of globalization have been quite out of the blue interrupted, and this has caused, of course, some changing also in a few aspects. What we can see is that it's true that we have been customers are asking us to use more and more recycled paper, but it's true that there is not a lot of awareness, generally speaking, coming from the customer about what materials they should use. So they just focus on some concepts that are not exactly correct for what concerns people that are dealing with paper every day, like paper suppliers and printers.
Oh. Paper suppliers, they're the worst.
I know. But beside that, I would say that yeah, I mean, of course, we have seen that this year we are facing new challenges, and today paper is something that it's really a delicate question. Of course,
yeah. It is, Emanuele, and there's actually a comment on the chat that and I'm very much about or in favor of a more nuanced view on paper and paper use. Recycled paper has pluses, but certainly also minuses. FSC is another aspect which is being mentioned. Is it not more important to know where the pulp is coming from and whether it's from reliable sources and well managed forests? Is that a discussion you have with your customers on FSC, PEFC, recycled paper? Is there a trend you can see?
No, of course. I mean, the discussion is about yes, where the source of the pulp and the papers, if are coming from reliable forests or not, and this is one important thing we try to stress with the customer.
Yeah.
The second aspect is related to the other materials that we use, so inks and chemicals
Yeah.
products. sometimes we need to use some chemicals to print. In other cases, this can be avoided. So I think that also there must be a discussion between customer and supplier, also involving all the raw material supplier, in order to create something that is sustainable and it's for it is good for the planet, without moving to a trend or to another, just because we have to talk about saving the planet.
No, very clear, very clear. Alderano, you were talking very specifically about the role print is playing in this more hybrid offering to schools, for example, with a digital component, audio. What are the call it the 2 or 3 most specific factors, that USPs, you could say unique selling propositions, print could play in the next 3 years? What is it that print has very specific as an advantage compared to the other media?
Okay, I think
we didn't rehearse
so
this question, huh?
No, it's the question of the $1 million question.
Exactly.
I would say.
Yeah, I know that.
So I think that everything resumes to the content. I mean, I think that the way we are looking here, it's first of all, we need to play in the content. We need to help the publishers to manage better their content. At the end, the content means the content is the product. If the media is paper, or if the media is audio, if the media is PDF, doesn't matter. So we are looking at this business as well for a long period. It's not easy to play because the content is the materials, the property, intellectual property of the publishers. To keep this in their behalf is very complex, and they think if it's okay to leave it with you, if you can manage it better. You have a sort of solutions today as cloud solutions that they can use. You have professional companies play on that, but in the print perspective, I think first of all is the content. If the PSPs could play with that, it would be a very good goal, and we are looking at this. I think that we have here in Brazil, just for you to know, 3,000 publishers. 3,000 publishers in Brazil. Wow. It's a bunch. It's a lot of publishers, and you have self-publishing as well. So there is a marketing, very good marketing to work in this field. So we are looking at this. Maybe for the big publisher is quite difficult to help them in taking care of the content, but for the media one and the small publishers could be something that we could do. So first of all is that. I think that there is a second point, is the entire chain. If the content would be integrated with us in a certain way, that we can start the order in their ERP straight to our MIS, should be something that we could be sometimes costs less, reduce the runs, and also has at the end a very short stock, almost on demand, and in this supply. So I think that the ways in this, we are looking at this way. We need to reduce the costs per book to make sense to send a book. It needs to cost less. We need to look at the entire chain, from the content management up to the logistics.
I'm happy you mentioned that, Alderano, because I think the integrated supply chain, as you say, there's still a lot of benefit to get, and as you say, the cost element is so important, and the competition is in many cases more cost effective. If we could tackle that problem, then we will make a big step forward. You sound very passionate about it, Alderano. What is it specifically that you are doing as a company? Can you give us some examples where you excel compared to your competitors?
For sure, yes. First of all, I think that we are playing here in the perspective of to manage the content. We are using a platform, and we are just starting a POC for a customer here, a small publisher, that we are providing them a certain way to keep the content here. So we are holding the content, we are sorting the content, and also helping this customer, helping this publisher to understand and predict what kind of book he should print before. So we are using a way to software. We are for sure to content management to keep the content, but also a big data solution to understand, based on the how the marketing, how the consumer is buying, what kind of subject, what kind of content the consumer is buying, crossing with their base and helping those publishers to identify what kind of book he should print previously. Because, you know, at the end, you have the same content, you have lots of publishers, lots of books, different books with the same content. What the consumer buy at the end, the one is faster to get in their hand. So especially those kind of book, trade books, I mean, for sure, you have some certain books that the consumer, they want that specific title. But in many cases, for example, self-help, the consumer buy the one he's in their hands, it's easy to buy, or technical books as well. So the idea is to predict faster and previously what kind of title we should print in the next couple of months. So that's where we are looking at.
Fantastic. Well, that's very good examples of how innovation can help the industry going further and increase the accuracy of our forecast. Talking about Bastian, maybe one for you. This period has seen a lot of uncertainty. Customers have changed their behavior. Different technologies have been used. Have you seen any disruptive technology entering your space of the business?
So we are still talking about the publishing world.
Yep.
I think in the publishing world, there was one disruptive technology, but this is already a couple of years ago. I mean, we've all seen the trend to ebooks, but to be honest, this has stabilized on a certain level. That's what we see in the market. So it's not like this has completely pushed the physical printed book totally away, but it does work along hand in hand with a physical printed book.
Yeah.
Having that said, aside from that, I wouldn't say that there was in the last couple of months disruptive technology that we have.
And innovations on the printing side, anything that speaks out? I personally, I've heard in Germany a lot of talking about new platforms, particularly transactional platforms that might, to what Alderano said, increase the speed of the supply chain as a whole.
That's exactly the case. So this is something we have also done for our black and white business to allow customers to work on a very automated platform to upload their printed data without having a lot of account management on our side that needs to handle all that data throughout the whole printing plant. But this is now very automated and possible to upload the data there. So having that said, on that side, we do have definitely an innovation, but this is more focused on the process and the opportunity to be a bit more cost efficient here, and to have a good service for the customers there as well, who know working on platforms on the private level anyway.
Yeah. It seems, Emanuele, that all of you have coped very well with this pandemic and all the disruption that came, and it almost sounds like nothing has changed for good. I get the feeling that you've adapted and things might get to a new normal. Is there anything you would like to state which you absolutely think will not change back anymore? We've call it the remote working, or a different appreciation for your customers, or different ways of publishing copies. Is there anything? What do you think is the biggest structural change coming out of this this pandemic?
Well, it's a good question. I think it's quite difficult today to predict what can be the trend for the coming years. It's true that we consider ourselves quite an innovative company, even if in a very traditional business. And this year we can say we have experienced what all the companies have experienced. So smart working, less traveling in order to not being possible to visit customers. So we didn't have the chance to go to Drupa this year, for example.
Yeah.
So of course I'm not sure that these things will come back in a certain way. I mean, there will be a few processes that will go on in the coming years, and this pandemic has accelerated some of these processes. From our side, I think that for us that pandemic has boosted a little bit what we had already put in place. It is a web-to-print platform for publishers, dedicated to publishers. So very, very focused on B2B. So not for end users, but really for our existing and potential customers. And I think that the web-to-print will be one of the key value for the future, in order to, as I was saying before, automatic replenishment, managing reprints and orders, reducing stock levels for publishers, accelerate negotiation processes, and I think this is something that will go on this way, and that we want to go back to traditional,
yeah.
Especially for digital business.
Correct. Well, thanks, Emanuela. And I see Rick is with us right now as well. Rick, is there anything you've heard that has triggered some questions? It was a very interesting scope of topics we dealt with, but maybe you have a very specific question still.
Yeah, I think this, by the way, thank you so much to all the panelists and Marco for moderating. I think one, and I do have a few questions, but let's start off by asking a broader question. Is there a question that publishers should be asking that they aren't asking currently right now of you?
So, I will start, Ricky. That's a very good question. I think, to be honest, I think that the publishers, for sure, there is no discussion that the digital came to take the best part of the party and to be the star of the party. I'm really sure about that. When Marco asked what happened, what happened that with the pandemic, there is no way to come back. I'll say to you, my opinion is the publisher's mindset. I think that the publisher's mindset has finally changed because now they are understanding the value of digital. Few months ago, I was just comparing offset with digital. It's hard to explain to the publishers the difference between one and another, and when to use one and when to use another. So that's the big point. So I would like to my publishers to ask me how to help them to reduce the entire chain, how to help them to use the technology that we have today. And I agree with Bastian that we are, I think that I have been in the print business for more than 20 years, and I never seen so much technology, good technology in place. So from the perspective of software, workflows up to the finishing equipments, because in certain period of the time, you have a very good development in software, but not in the printing side. And in the finishing side is not following up. And now we have a very good composition with good players, strong companies, putting all together to work in a very, very robust solution. But who buy that is the publisher. They don't understand exactly how it works. So that's the point. And to understand that, they need to go deep. They need to talk with us. They need to not only look at the price, but look at the TCO of the operation. So that's my complaint here, and also what I would like to hear from my colleagues in the publisher side.
Well, I agree in particular, but not on everything that you've stated there, Alderano. I think a lot of our customers ask quite a lot at the moment. I mean, I've mentioned I don't know, and that's something I haven't heard from your side. I don't know if that's the case in Latin America at the moment as well, but we do see that trend to becoming climate neutral. We also see the trend to have digitized processes here, handling the jobs, and becoming way more efficient. And I think this is also a very good dialogue that I'm experiencing at the moment, that together with our customers, we are developing kind of like the next step to make publishing robust for the upcoming years as well. And Rick, to answer your question very shortly there, I think this is an ongoing dialogue, and this is a partnership that we all experience with our customers, and that needs to be developed in detail. But I wouldn't say that there are any topics that are not asked that are of importance. I would totally disagree, but highlight the fact that customers do reflect on the future and how they can adjust their behavior on these trends as well. That's what I see.
Good. Emanuele, anything to add?
I mean, probably, I think that the different visions of Alderano and Bastian also depend on the nature of the countries they are serving. I can state that here in Italy, sometimes we struggle with publisher in order to convince them to change a little bit their mentality and their approach to business, and it is completely different when we work with other countries that are more used probably to consider things in a different way, and they have more I would say they are more open-minded, and they are more used to do things in a different way. I think that the way is there, but there's still quite a long path to take to get to the real efficient publishing business model.
Okay, Rick, anything else you would like to ask still?
Just being aware of the time here too. What do the next 3 months look like for your companies?
Very good question.
I'm happy to get started. So the upcoming 3 months for us will most likely continue in the way that we have seen in the last couple of months. So it's about developing the markets from home, having video conferences, telephone calls, and discussing with our customers the future of publishing, but also in other business areas, and discussing that. I mean, you've seen, you will have heard, it was in the news, you've seen that the IKEA catalog, for example, was also cancelled. And these are trends that we also see in all printing plants, that volumes are decreasing, jobs are cancelled. we do see a different marketing behavior, and this is also something we need to adapt to. So having that said, I guess we as a printer, or all the printers, have a very challenging task at the moment to become ready for the future and to prepare ourselves for that. And this is something we definitely focus on.
Almost same as Bastian. We are seeing some applications here as magazines, for example, catalogs that, and the tabloids as well that we produce. It's almost disappeared, and we are not seeing the forecast those volumes coming back, to be honest. But on the other hand, we are seeing, as I said, government here in Brazil is very representative in terms of books. They buy a lot of books, and during the peak of pandemic, they postpone all the orders for the beginning of the next year. So based on that, we are a little bit happy what we are seeing the next couple of months, especially in the first quarter of 2021. So focus on books, especially for the government. So I think that we are going to have a good moment in the first quarter, but at the rest of the year will be challenged, as Bastian said, the same.
I mean, I totally agree with Bastian for what concerns European market. We expect different times in the upcoming and difficult beginning of 2021. But just to leave this discussion with a positive comment is I see that people we are dealing with are really looking forward to a new normal. But maybe it's different from what was before, but it is at least a hope, and I see that talking with the customers, especially that everyone is trying to schedule something new for the upcoming 2021, and that this leaves me with a positive. Hope for the future.
All right. I think, Rick, that we've reached the hour. Is there any closing remark from your side? Otherwise, I would like to thank the panelists for a fantastic insight in their business. I've really enjoyed the openness, the passion, which is still there, and that's very good to see, because from the outside, people would probably think that the future looks less bright than what we heard this afternoon or today, and particularly the determination and resilience you've shown in coping with the future challenges is fantastic. It's really good to hear, and I thank you for that. And Rick, also to you, thanks for having given this opportunity as HP to organize these webinars. Fantastic.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you for attending.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. It's a pleasure.